Um, by the end of this, I hope that we can all graph linear functions in standard or general form. So before we get too far with it, I want to make sure that we all understand what that means. Okay. So first of all, what is a function, I guess? And this is not a function. Okay, so this, if your answer looks like that, you have made some kind of error because that is not a function in terms of y. This one here is it is a polynomial function, but it is not a linear. It is a constant. Okay, it has a constant with a degree equal to 0. What we're looking at is we're looking at lines that look like this one, that's a decreasing function, or this one, which is an increasing function. Okay, so these are linear functions. And so when we're done, our lines should look like that. Okay, so next up, standard form. What does it mean? Well, it has an x and a y value, and it has typically three numbers. These numbers are typically integers, and um, and they're in this format. So we have a number before the x, a number before the y, and we have another number on the other side of the equal sign. Now remember that if there's nothing written here, it's probably a 1. Okay, so an example is x plus y equals 7. That works. Or 3x minus 2y equals 38. That also works. Okay, so we have numbers in front of them, and this is our a is a 1, and b here is a 1, 3, -2. These are all the integer values. All right, so let's just do an example here. What if I had 10x plus 20y equals 100? Now, there's multiple ways that you could graph this, but the easiest way, well, let's do it. We're going to do this with the intercept method. So what a lot of students will want to do is convert this using algebra into, say, slope-intercept method or some other format. And students often make mistakes. So I'm going to say, let's do it the intercept method. It doesn't matter to me which method you use, but for me, I'm going to use the intercept method. Okay, so what's an intercept? Well, this is my x-axis here, and all along that line, y is 0. All along my y-axis, along here, x is 0. So what we're looking for is we're looking for two numbers, one maybe here, one maybe here, or somewhere along those lines, and then we just connect them. Okay, so I'm going to take my equation here, and I've got this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make x equal to 0. So what I have is 10 times 0 plus 20 times y equals 100. So this is nothing. 10 times 0 is 0. So what I have is 20y equals 100. And when I've got 20y equals 100, with a little bit of algebra, I would divide both sides by 20, and I'd find that y is 5. So what that means is that where y equals 5, I have an intercept right there. That's my y-intercept. Okay, I do the exact same thing with my x-intercept. So I'm going to go 10 times x plus 20 times 0, because that's the intercept. It's 0 on the intercept right there. So once again, this is now 0. So I have 10x equals 100. So divide each side by 10. I end up with 100 divided by 10. X equals 10. So on my x, I'm going to have a point there at 10. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to draw myself a line, make it a nice big long line here. Okay. And there is my graph, all done. Okay, and that's the intercept method. Now, the general form is slightly different because what I have here is I have the x, or sorry, the a, the b, and the c all equal, or they're all on the left side of the equation. Okay, so once again, let's do an example here. How about if I had 30x plus 40y plus 120 equals 0. Let me go get another little graph grid here. So there's my graph grid. Okay, so all I'm going to do here, this one's pretty straightforward, you know. A is 30, B is 40, C is 120. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I want to write this as if I had the standard form. So all I'm going to do with a little bit of algebra, because I was adding 120 here, I'm going to take away that 120. I don't want the 120. So if I'm adding 120 and I don't want it, what I have to do is subtract 120, but I do it on both sides of my equation. Now what I have is 30x plus 40y equals negative 120. Once again, pretty straightforward. Now, what is my x-intercept value going to be? So I'm going to say 30x, oops, not a plus, 30x equals negative 120. So x equals negative 120 divided by 30. X is negative 4. Do the same thing for the other one. I'm going to have 40y equals negative 120. Y equals negative 120 divided by 40. Y equals negative 3. Okay. Now I guess I skipped the first step. I guess the first step was 30x plus 40 times 0. And, I'm just not writing that step in. I could write that in here. What was it again? 30 times 0 plus 40 times y equals negative 120. And then that's a 0. So I'm not even writing that 0 in. I'm just not counting it when that happens. Okay, so x, negative 4, right here. Y, negative 3, right here. And then once again, take my ruler, draw a nice straight line. Oops. Make a nice long line through these. They don't stop at the dots. They keep going unless we're told otherwise by our values of our range and our domain. Okay, let's do one more. Here's my grid. And this time I'm going to write what it's not really either form. It's not going to be standard or general form. And these numbers don't have to be perfect integers either, but let's just do, what if I had negative 8x plus 9y, take away 40 equals 32. Okay? It's not in standard form because this is here, and it's not in general form because that should be a 0. But what we're going to do is solve it the same way. I don't want this 40 here. Since this was taking away 40, I'm going to add 40 to both sides. You can't do it to one side without doing it to the other. So now I have negative 8x plus 9y equals 32 plus 40. And 32 plus 40 is 72. Okay, so once again, I'll write my first step in there. This time I didn't do it last time. So I'm going to go negative 8 times 0 plus 9y is 72. The other one is negative 8x plus 9 times 0 is 72. Once again, 9 times 0 is 0. Negative 8 times 0 is 0. So I'm left with 9y is 72. I'll finish this one. Y equals 72 divided by 9. This one is, oh, okay, what's that give us? 72 divided by 9 is going to be y equals 8. This one is going to be negative 8x equals 72. Divide each side by negative 8. X is negative 9. Okay, so x is negative 9 right there, and y is a positive 8. That's up there. Take my ruler, draw a beautiful line. And there we are.